Hey guys, Average Joe here, and I'm back with a quick video about the bearings and the springs in your SelectTech dumbbells. Doesn't make a difference if you have 552 Series 1, Series 2, or 1090. The same bearings and springs are used in all the models. So if you happen to have lost a bearing or spring, or you mangled one of your springs and you need a replacement, this video will help you understand what you need to purchase in order to replace these parts. So first, let's take a look at where you'll find these parts. Underneath, this is the thing that I've been calling the crossbar assembly. Each one of the models has their own version of this, but they all have the same basic components. If you remove the steel plate on the assembly, you'll see two pockets. Those are where these small springs go, one in each pocket, and then the bearings go on top of the springs, one in each pocket. Now, if you flip this assembly over, on the back side there is a plate here, and it's held on by two screws. If you remove these two screws, behind this plate you'll see one spring and a locking pin. I just refer to this as a bearing spring, and this I refer to as a locking pin spring. Just my terminology. I don't know what Bowflex calls them. Now, if you need to purchase these, you're going to want to look for 1/4-inch bearings. Now, you could try to find in metric, say 6 to 7 millimeter. It's a 6.5 millimeter, but 1/4 inch is available pretty much, everywhere. If you go on eBay, you'll see little packages of these that you can buy, maybe 10 or whatnot to a pack. Some hardware stores may have these individually available. Depends on the store. So that's for the bearings, 1/4 inch. The springs, two types. Here's the locking pin spring. Here is the bearing spring. For you techs out there, this locking pin spring ranges depending on, these are all locking pin springs, by the way, from various Bowflex dumbbells. And you can see they come in different diameters, they come in different lengths, they come in different wire thicknesses. Bowflex has no standard for this. So your actual spring may vary from approximately 9.8 is the smallest I've seen, to 10.3 millimeters is the largest diameter I've seen. 12 to 15 millimeters in length. For the bearing spring, they're almost always 6 millimeters in diameter and 10 to 11 millimeters long. One other thing about them is that the wire thicknesses vary from about 0.6 millimeters thick to about 0.85 millimeters thick. But for 99% of you, you're just going to care about two things. This is a 3/8 inch spring, and this is a 1/4 inch spring. That's basically the diameter of these springs, the approximate diameter of the springs. So when you go into a hardware store, you're going to find packages of springs, and what you're going to look for is a 3/8 inch spring or a 1/4 inch spring. And you're going to notice that they don't come in this length. They're just not available in this length in your stores. So you're going to buy them in a much longer length and then use wire cutters to cut them down to the proper length. Fortunately, you can find them in really long lengths like this. And in this case, I could get 4 of these springs out of this one spring. So I could replace all 4 of my springs if I needed to, just from this one spring, which is great. I mean, you don't end up having to buy too many of these. These tend to be not long enough to get multiple springs out of it, but you're still going to have to cut it down to length. Okay, now one thing to be careful of, the springs can differ in terms of their coil count. There are more coils per inch here than there are here, and it's also a thicker coil. So this spring is naturally very stiff. This spring has a very particular rate to it. you're going to want to bring in one of your springs and match it as best as you can to the springs that they have available. This would be too stiff of a spring to replace the OEM spring, but this one would be about right on. This should be about the same performance. So there you go. If you happen to lose one of your springs or bearings, or one of these gets mangled on you, you want a 1/4 inch bearing, a 3/8 inch spring, or a 1/4 inch spring. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, I hope you'll hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for future videos. And I hope you all have a great day. Thanks for watching.